So I'm finally muting the bass video because I feel like every time that I do one of these, the audio gets so fucked up and I can't even bear to listen to it myself when I play it back. So I have no reason to expect anybody else to listen to it. So hopefully this ends up sounding a little bit better, and I unfortunately have to cut the bass video volume. I guess I just need to get better editing software or just figure something out. But no lifting sound for this video. Started off with some Larson pause bench, 265 for 5. That's pretty much my 5RM for a pause bench, so pretty indicative of me getting absolutely nothing out of my legs on bench. That's something else that I have to work with a lot more. I'm just not really sure somebody with my proportions gets a lot out of their legs on the bench, but that doesn't mean that I'm gonna stop trying to get something out of them, because bench has been going pretty well. So if I could add a little bit of a bonus to that, that'd be pretty ideal. Hit some dips after on that session. Lately on my upper sessions, I've been either doing push-ups or dips after bench, depending on how much volume I hit. When I do the actual bench, I'll do either more sets of push-ups or dips, or maybe a little less. So for example, like if I hit over 20 working reps for bench, then I will probably only hit 2 sets of push-ups or dips. Or if I do something closer to 10 working reps, if I'm hitting like a top set and a back down, or maybe like a giant set of 12 or 15, I might do a couple more sets, like 3 or 4. But I kind of have an inverse relationship with the amount of non-barbell lifts, or I guess non-barbell sets that I do for a given lift, at least in a week's time. I try to get that done per session. That's easier for me to do with upper body training than it is for lower, because I can't always hit all of my non-barbell lower training in the same session as barbell lower, but with upper I can get away with that a little more. So anyway, hit a 85-pound chin for 2. I don't really get this third rep all the way, so I don't really want to count that, but heavier chins, that's kind of like my top set for chins. I think hitting a top set for chins is a little bit stupid and kind of a waste of time just for me, because it's not really a lift that I get a lot of satisfaction out of, or there's not a whole lot of, I guess, intrinsic reward hitting a big chin up. I don't really care about that too much, but I like to work them in there. I like to stress that tissue just as heavy as I'd stress really anything else. I think that's a pretty good formula for not injuring it, I guess. I think with things like cleans and snatches and bench and deadlifts especially, I think I might benefit a little bit more from a injury mitigation perspective from doing some rows, some like Pendlay rows, or even barbell or cable rows, dumbbell rows. But I don't really feel like I get the same hypertrophy stimulus to the lats out of a lift like that I do with chins. So I try to row, but chins stay my primary upper body pulling, and then I hit some pull downs in that previous video. So that was pretty much the upper session, front to back. And then the following session hit some front squats. So this is 341. I believe I hit 4 reps on this set, and then I fail in the 5th. So that's a pretty decent result compared to what I've done in the past. Trying to work up to a front squat 1RM by the end of the year. See this miss right here? I really can't hold the bar in the front rack. This is probably the most hypertrophied my upper body has been in a very long time, so that's kind of a bro-ish reason to not be able to hold a front rack very well, but this is probably the worst that my front rack has ever been, and I think it's because of that. So I know there are some camps that think that hypertrophy is never a disadvantage, or training for that is always ideal, and I think 90+% of the time that's the case. But there is a reason why some of the best weightlifters that you follow or know of don't have the most muscular upper bodies. And I'm not saying that it's only because it can interfere with mobility a little bit, just because there's more tissue there and it's harder to get into those positions, but also because they don't have the real estate to train those kind of lifts as much as maybe somebody that isn't pushing the Olympic lifts all the way or competing in something generally may not have the training real estate to fit that kind of stuff in each week. So I think for the lay person, yeah, it's probably a good idea to always do some bodybuilding, do some hypertrophy work for every major muscle group, but there might be some truth to not becoming too muscular if your goal is absolute weightlifting strength. Hit some single leg RDLs after that front squat session. I believe this was 100 for, I think I hit 17 or something like that on the first set. This is really just a lift that you can almost always improve and add some more posterior chain stress with that knee extended. So I try to work that in as much as I can. Try to work that all the way up to like a 120 for 20 at least, or even heavier or more reps than that. So hit some power jerks on the following day, 265 for 2 singles. First single absolutely sucked, and I probably would have just stopped there and moved on to some push press had I fixated it properly. But this little like platform space, man, I'm taking this out of a powerlifting rack, and no hate on that. It's a great piece of equipment, but I really don't have any space to miss or walk the bar forward or anything like that, because if I do and I drop the bar, then it's just going to smash into all this shit and everybody's going to think I'm a freak. So just hit that, kind of bailed out of it. Second rep is a little more crisp, but ideally, yeah, I would have more space to work with there. Even if you don't have a lot of space, like you're going to get in your head and probably fuck up a lift. So having less space is even worse mentally because it just makes you more prone to having shitty lifts. But anyway, hit some push press, 185 for 5 after that, trying to work the push press into my training a little bit more. I did another push press session today, but that won't be included in this video. That'll be in the next one. I'm just not good enough at the jerk yet for push press to not help me. So it's going to continue to help me because my skill level is still pretty low on the jerk, even though I feel like the technique is proficient. There's just so much more strength to be had and gained there. So trying to lean into that a little bit more. I can't really split jerk at this gym at all, which is what I ideally will be doing, but whatever, man. Just trying to throw everything in that I can, and it'll definitely push the main lifts because I'm just simply not skilled enough at them yet. So at least for me, I would rather be pushing the strength than nothing else. So had some Jefferson curls there in that previous video that I yapped all over. That was 110 just for like a slow set of 5. And then that was a 286 pause bench for 3. So that is a PR pause bench for a triple. Previous best with 286 was 2. I think I actually just did 285. But a little back down here, I think I hit 7 reps or so. I didn't start counting, but I think this is like rep 5, and that is 253. So 115 kilo, 253 pounds. Couldn't really tell you how many reps this was. I think it was 7 or 8. I know I have it marked down somewhere, but I guess the bench was feeling pretty good on this day. So gonna push that whenever I can. A lot of the time on the Larson stuff, I don't get really any less reps, but I just feel less overall stress in the low back. And I'll take that when I'm doing a lot of heavy overhead stuff, heavy cleans, heavy squatting, heavy pulling. Like I'm always going to prioritize those kind of lifts where I'm on my feet and I'm doing something either overhead or on the platform or whatever, or squat, something like that. I'm always going to prioritize those lifts over bench. So I do like benching, and it's just, a fundamental movement pattern that I'm trying to push a lot, but it's always going to take a back seat to all the rest of those. So any kind of advantage I can get as far as a stimulus to fatigue ratio being a little bit more recoverable, I'm gonna take that advantage every time. So just hit some high feet elevated deficit push-ups there. Couldn't tell you how many reps I got. I'd like to weight those, but it's just kind of like a little bit too cumbersome of a setup. So as I previously mentioned in the video early on, I'm hitting dips or push-ups basically every week. So I usually don't hit both. I'll bench and then I'll do either dips or push-ups. That's kind of my little like scheme. I alternate between the two of those, and then same thing with the lats. I'll either do pull downs after heavy chins or I'll do rows. So rows pictured right here. I don't really remember how many reps I got on the chins in the previous video or what kind of load I was using, but typically, whether I'm doing a density set or an AMRAP set, a giant set, or a top set, if I have weighted chins in the program, which is pretty much every main upper pulling movement for me, I'll be doing something between a 40 and an 80 for anywhere from 9 to like 2 reps. So just really trying to work that strength curve with the lats, still trying to push those and treat that like a main exercise the same way I would an upper body push or a squat or a deadlift. It's pretty easy to put that to the wayside and not really want to train something like that very heavy, but it definitely helps me a lot with staying motivated to push those numbers and kind of work towards having big lats. And if that doesn't count for anything, it's at least cool to have big lats. So I will take that. Even if I don't have them yet, I'll continue to work towards them. And then hit some RDLs in this session. This session I felt really bad, so I think I only hit 315 for like 5 there. I've done 315 for 15 reps on an RDL before, so that felt pretty shitty, but I'm really just trying to keep myself in a place where I'm not being injured, I'm not hurting myself, I'm kind of taking things when they're there. When they're on the table, I'll push them really hard, and if they're not, then I'm just not going to try to fuck myself up. So hit some SSB rear foot elevated split squat. These are pretty great. I don't know why I've never used this squat stand in this gym, but that'll be a staple for me now. That was the bar is 58 pounds, so what's 205 plus 13 is 218, so that was 6 on each leg. Hit a couple sets there. And then some more Larson bench. So this is just touch and go. Larson, 253 for 8. I need to compare this to what I did for that back down on the previous video after that 286 for 3 paused, because I probably hit pretty close to this paused with Larson. So it's whatever, but I'll take it. That was a density set, so I hit a ton of reps there, over 20 reps total. And then some heavy cleans on the following session. This is the biggest session of the video, one of my biggest sessions in a really long time. Was pretty juiced up going into this session. Just hit 225, 275, 300 there, and then this will be a 143 kilo, 315 pound clean right here. That's pretty heavy clean for me. That moved pretty good off the low blocks. I don't think I've ever cleaned something that heavy off blocks. I've done that from the floor, and I've done a lot more than that from the floor, but I'm looking at a clean PR towards the end of the year. I think that'll be in the cards. So hit some back squat after this right here will be the top set. This is 418 for a triple, and then I hit a double at 418 after that. I believe my best triple ever is 419, so I wanted to set a 4 here, but I knew that I had cleaned heavy prior and I had to RDL heavy after, so I would have loved to take the 4 rep max there, the PR at 418, 190 kilos, but I'm just trying to be smart, man. I'm trying to PR some stuff before the end of the year, so I'll take that. That moved pretty good. That's definitely faster than the last time I did it, which was quite a while ago. So just trying to take these small wins, stack PRs, trying to PR stuff every year, even if it's only just rep maxes or a variant or something like that. I think that goes a really, really long way for longevity for anybody trying to stay motivated throughout their training, or just start training and find any kind of motivation in it. I'm trying to PR stuff as frequently as I can, kind of no matter what it is. You could get kind of ridiculous with that and take advantage of that, but I try to say like 10 reps or less with a barbell, any variant. I am taking that PR and I'm going to be happy with it. So ended with a 352, 160 kilo RDL for 10. I've hit 374 for this amount of reps, and I've done 405 for 8, but I will take this because this was part of a really big session. So all 3 of those lifts, pretty happy with it. Thanks for watching, guys. Later.